Some more, say in the NFC West, man, we got Kyler news. So I mean, there's a little bit going on there. There was a one little ripple that's now starting to turn into, now there's 4 or 5 teams that he might get traded to. He kind of, there's people talking in the organization like that's just who Kyler is. He's kind of a baby when it comes to this kind of stuff. He doesn't really step up as a man. He doesn't take responsibility for stuff. And now he's kind of acting out a fool on social media. I mean, I could see him 2 or 3 different locations where he possibly could get traded to. I don't necessarily believe it yet, but it's one of those things where, there is some news with Kyler. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about, what that situation holds? Like, is he going to be the starter in Arizona come week 1?
Yes, 100%. No one is going to risk taking that on with these rumors going around, especially with he's going into, I think, the final year of his deal. So he's going to get paid. No one's going to trade for him and give up what it's going to cost to get him without the uncertain future of extending him. So it ain't going to happen. He's playing out his last year in Arizona. That's it.
Okay. And you agree with him, Josh?
I'd have to agree. But if this dude's trying to get $50 million, dude, and Arizona doesn't trade him and get a sucker now, as an organization, what did you just do that year? Like, you just going to tag him and then let it, I don't know, when the year's up, you know what I mean? Like, like certain players, you're not going to just let him walk. He has an effect. He has value always. The stuff that I've heard, like, the dude's more fragile than we think, as far as the sense, like, I'm not saying he's the stuff he's, got kind of accused of at the end of the wild card game of pulling himself and all that. But I some of you can see it in certain games. Like, I've seen it with the Niners, like, dude, you hit that guy, 3-4 times. He don't like it. And I'm willing to bet money
big.
he's not as tall as his thing says. I think it says like 5'10", something like that.
No,
that dude
there's
looks like
no
he's like 5'8" and a half.
5'10". No way.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you didn't think that taking a Nate Robinson point guard at quarterback in the NFL wasn't going to come back to bite you, dude? Like, you're going to get hit. No one just doesn't get hit. Even when you get rid of the ball, you get hit. And
you got some big dogs chasing after you, especially in that division. You got Bosa coming after your ass, dude. Like,
unfortunately, Brian,
that's why he's
when you're that small, it doesn't matter the division. Every dude's huge to you.
Yeah, seriously, no shit, dude.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he actually has 2 years left on his deal. So I don't see him being he's only been in the league for 2 years. So he's got 2 more. If they pick up an option, it's actually 3 more. So I think they have the option after 2. But I mean, the only way I could see Kyler getting out of there, I mean, again, if it's because maybe beef with Kingsbury, which I could see, I think this is Kingsbury's last year as Arizona. I think he's on a pretty short leash. He did have a good start to this last year, and then they just fell apart. You can't really blame that on losing Hopkins or losing all these guys. They just kind of fell apart, and a lot of that was coaching. I think Kingsbury is a guy that can easily be replaced. Out of all these young, college offensive minded guys, I think he's the one that's always forgotten about. And, he's the little brother, but there's only a couple teams that I could see him possibly getting traded to. There's connections to Minnesota, and then that would have to involve Kirk and some other draft picks. And there would probably be some stuff going on with that. I don't see that happening. And we'll get into that. Why. I think Vegas is one because of Derek Carr, same situation, very similar situation with Kirk. That have to involve kind of the same deal. I don't see that happening either. And then with Mayfield in Cleveland, and I don't think Kyler would want to go to Cleveland. So I really don't see that happening either. I don't really know if he has no trade clauses in his contract. But other than that, I don't see very many suitors unless you're talking about Carolina, and that would be a really difficult trade. Maybe Denver. That would be somewhere where maybe he can go and thrive with a young offense. But I mean, I don't really see it happening. And whether he wants it to or not, I don't think it's really going to matter. And I think Kyler needs to put on his big boy pants. But at the end of the day, like, this kid just might go play baseball and we might not ever see him again.
He's he's going to be expensive, and that's why no one's sure. He started out the season in the MVP conversation, but he fizzled hard down the stretch. That playoff game was bad, so his value right now isn't what it was.
Mhm.
But he can get it right back to where it was. He was in the MVP conversation after week 8 when they were 8-0 or whatever it was. He was getting all kinds of love, so he can get that right back. If he gets back to that, then he can maybe get that 50 million or whatever payday it is. But you're gonna hurt your team by doing that. So either way, I don't think he's going anywhere. It's not worth the risk for these other teams. You mentioned Vegas. Vegas, they got a more sure thing in Derek Carr. Cleveland is the only one that makes sense, kind of, because they're out of conference. They're not in the NFC. They're in the AFC. So that would be the only one that I could see happen. But even Cleveland, they're not going to risk. I don't think they're going to risk it. They got the other Oklahoma quarterback over there creating his own problems. So they're not going to bring in another one to do that shit. So I think that's it for them.